People, and welcome to My Money, Your Money, where we talk about all things money with the goal of closing the racial wealth gap. I'm your host, Brigette Lumpkins. I earned an MBA from Wharton and worked at such firms as Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, and Barclays, both raising capital for investment funds and supporting institutional and private clients. I'm so pleased to welcome our guest, Teri Williams, today. Teri is the president and chief operating officer of One United Bank, the largest Black-owned bank in America. With over 30 years banking experience and a Harvard MBA, she has led the bank's growth through and digital transformation while championing financial literacy in underserved communities through initiatives like the Bank Black movement. And I am a customer. I have an account at One United Bank. So I'm so pleased to welcome Teri back to our show. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you I'm so glad this worked out today.
Yeah.
And, I want to tell our viewers, just in case they don't know, a little bit about One United Bank. One United Bank, like I said, is the largest Black-owned bank in the United States. It was founded in 1968 and provides financial services to underserved communities with a focus on economic empowerment in urban areas. You offer personal and business banking products, mortgage lending, and financial education initiatives, which is what we are about here at My Money, Your Money. With branches mostly in LA, Boston, and Miami, One United emphasizes social responsibility and community development. The bank has been recognized for its innovative digital banking services and its Unity Visa secured credit card, which is a really good looking credit card. You could get great art on it. So designed to help customers build credit. One United is FDIC insured and continues to advocate for closing the racial wealth gap through accessible financial services and community reinvestment. So really, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, no, it's a pleasure to be here. And I want to applaud My Money, Your Money, and you, Brigette, because these are the things that we need in our community. It's really important to focus on our money and to focus on financial literacy. So I'm really happy to be here.
Great. And, we are at quite a moment, right? 35 days into a new presidential administration, which has taken a very different posture around some of the things that we care about at My Money, Your Money, and One United Bank. But more broadly, with the macroeconomic environment, that's going to see shifts too related to tariffs that could move markets, sector rotation, and equity markets. And all of this is going to affect your customers, their ability to borrow, specifically through interest rates. So, with recent shifts in Federal Reserve policy, what interest rate trends do you anticipate for the remainder of the year? And how should borrowers adapt their financial strategies?
That's a really good question. And I guess I want to start off by saying if there's anything I can say to reduce the fear that may be happening across our community about what's going on. Because there is a lot of that and a lot of fear, a lot of concern. And really, it's going to be important for us to be steady in our approach to our money as well as to our lives. I don't believe that there will be significant changes in interest rates. I know that there was a hope that rates would really be coming down, but I don't see that because there's uncertainty. And anytime there's uncertainty, the markets really build that in. There's a question about, the tariffs and whether or not there will be tariffs and, how much will they be and what impact they will have. And there's just a lot of global uncertainty. So I think that we're going to see interest rates sort of stay pretty much where they are. And that we should all be making decisions with, I would say, hope for the best and plan for, the worst.
Worst. When you say plan for the worst, what do you mean specifically as it relates to debt, borrowing, et cetera? Should people who want to refinance do so in anticipation of, and I know you expect interest rates to stay steady, and hopefully they will, but if we see a spike in inflation, the Fed may have to react to that by hiking interest rates, which would obviously increase borrowing costs. So when you say stay steady and plan for the worst, what do you mean specifically as it relates to how a customer of One United Bank may behave?
Yeah, let me start by saying I'm not a financial advisor, and that I would actually recommend that everyone speak to a financial advisor. What I can just say from as a banker is it is important for people to save, to have emergency savings. It is important to focus. I call it, sort of green and yellow. I look at money as either, I look at traffic light. Green is go, yellow is caution, and red is don't go, stop. And red to me are the scams. Be very careful to avoid scams because this is a time when, people are going to be looking for some way out, and there are a lot of scams out there. So there's no, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But at the same time, you need to focus on your green, and that's your savings, your job, your steady income. And then there's that yellow piece, which is caution, which is where an investment advisor can come in. That's where you might invest in the stock market. You might buy a home. You might put your money in something that, has some risk associated with it,
Mhm.
as opposed to just keeping it safe in a bank account. But that's how I see money. I really look at it in terms of those lights. And for me, it's really making sure that you have that green category, and that's an emergency fund as well as sort of steady income. It's important that you have that in place.
Um, Absolutely. And for those people who do need to borrow for whatever reason, they're relocating and need to buy a home or have other needs that force them to borrow, what advice would you give your population of customers, Black and other underserved banking customers on how to manage getting access to credit
Mhm.
at
Yeah,
this point in time?
yeah. One of the things that we're finding, and this is not just in the Black community, it's across all communities, that people are struggling with day-to-day expenses, and they're borrowing at very high rates. I would say be careful. Try to reduce your expenses so that you don't have to borrow, or you have to borrow less. I want to separate, sort of mortgages and I'll call them large purchases like appliances that you may have to replace. I want to separate that from other types of borrowing that you might do to just, buy clothes or things that are more discretionary. I would say try to stay away from the discretionary borrowing right now, just until we see what's actually going to happen in the economic landscape.
Mhm.
As it relates to borrowing for like buying a home or refinancing, for there, people really want to look at their credit and their credit score. We get a lot of applications that unfortunately we have to turn down because of low credit scores. Um, we're about to. This is actually hasn't been announced yet, so I will talk about this.
Ooh,
I
world
know.
debut.
Yeah. But we are looking to partner with a organization called Isusu, ESUSU.org, and they're an organization that um, actually reports your rent payments to the credit bureau, which
Oh,
can
yes.
really, yeah, you're familiar with that, which can
Mhm,
really help you build your credit, rebuild your credit. And I think as a community, we need to take advantage of programs like that,
mhm,
because we do pay our rent and we pay our rent, on time. We might be late in paying some other bills, but we pay our rent on time. And
mhm.
that will definitely help build our credit, rebuild our credit, because credit score is definitely, a factor in any lending decision.
Right, combined with the Unity product that One
Yes,
United
a
Bank has,
secured
right?
card.
That's
Exactly.
right,
Exactly. Thank
exactly.
you.
That's great. And so have you seen in the last since the new administration or maybe even since the election, any different patterns in terms of borrowing requests or in applications and approvals? Do you see people sort of, "Let me get out of the way of this and get this sorted before things start to change," or are you noticing any patterns?
So I think it's not because of the change of administration. I think it's just because of inflation and prices
Mhm,
being really high.
mhm,
Since we came out of the pandemic and then saw the inflation rate go up as high as 9%, cost of housing go up, gas prices go up, egg prices go up. We
mhm,
definitely have seen a decrease in savings of our customers and an increase in credit card borrowing. That concerns me as a
mhm,
banker, and I I would like to see us figure out ways to reduce the borrowing and increase the savings. But we have seen that not because of this administration, but really because of that inflationary period that we went through. That being said, I do think now people are starting to get, sort of more focused. I say that fear factor is there, where, government employees are, losing their job or at risk of losing their job. And so there is that factor that is making people more conscious of what they spend. And I believe we are going to see a slowdown in spending in 2025 because people are concerned.
Well, I know I've slowed down, partly because I'm not shopping at Target. Um, on that note, let's take a quick break. I want to shift gears afterwards and talk a little bit more about your small business customers. So, audience, please stay with us. We got to pay the bills real quick.
Mhm.
The City of Miami Gardens presents JITG Music Fest. New edition. Tony Braxton. DJ Cassidy's Pass the Mic Live. Starring Ja Rule, Fat Joe, and Remy Ma. Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. Beanie Man. Escape. Coco Jones. Kim. Also, a special set featuring Miss Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, YG Marley, Busta Rhymes, Doechii, and many more. JITG Music Fest. March 8th and 9th at Hard Rock Stadium. Tickets at jazzinthegardens.com.
Miami-Dade is filled with dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
Great seeing you all. We need to do this more often.
Will you be paying separately or together?
Oh, you can put it together.
No, give me a second.
Hold up, I got this. I'll get the reward points.
Well, I have early pay, so this time it's on me.
My AI insights say that I have room in my budget, so I'll pay.
Well, I got all that and more with the One Love card from One United Bank.
Wait, the One Love card?
Yes, with the One Love Visa debit card, I got a full suite of digital services from the nation's largest Black-owned bank.
Well, how do I get one?
It's easy. Just go to oneunited.com.
Okay. Kristen's got the One Love card and the check.
When it comes to banking, One United Bank is where I want to be.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Thank you for staying with us with Teri Williams, President and COO of One United Bank. And one of the things that is a theme, right, in any election or any sort of business cycle is small businesses. And during the pandemic, they got some relief, but many were really affected by the shift in their business patterns, right, during the pandemic. How would you assess your small business customers' recovery now? And do you have any financial solutions tailored to their needs?
Mhm. No, that's a great question, and I do think that there's a focus on DEI. Unfortunately, DEI backlash, and I think there needs to be more focus on small business. And I say that because small businesses actually employ more people than large corporations. People don't know that. Small businesses is really where the growth is. And so providing tools for small businesses to succeed is a winner in my book. And I really hope, because a lot of small businesses do rely on government contracts or corporate contracts. And so I hope that, through this difficult period of sort of DEI backlash, that corporations and government entities continue to support and do business with small businesses. We are seeing, again, I want to say some fear out there, But at this point, small businesses aren't losing contracts. So that's good news. But, there is that concern that that's what we're going to see. One United Bank, we're not a huge small business bank. In fact, when small businesses come to us, I make it clear to them, our focus is on real estate lending. Our focus is on families and, kids and families, building wealth through home ownership or finding, affordable housing. So that's been our focus as opposed to small business banking. But we do have really inexpensive small business banking products. You don't have to worry about fees, and you get great customer service because our team really focuses on our small business customers. And at the same time, protect them because the information is held, securely. We also, you can do everything. You can open up an account with us online, oneunited.com. You can take a picture of your check. We have the largest surcharge-free ATM network than any other bank in the country. You can go to a Walgreens, a 7-Eleven. You can even go to a Chase Bank or a Citibank and get money if you're a One United customer without paying a surcharge. So we have over 100,000 surcharge-free ATMs. So we are more, our Wise One insights tell, as I said, it helps customers make better decisions with their money. So we're, not saying just bank with us because we're Black. We're saying bank with us because we're good.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I think all of our businesses are. We know we have to be twice as good. And so when you look at Black businesses, I think you'll find that the reason to do business with us is not just because we're Black, although that is a good reason, but also because we offer better products and services than other institutions.
I can relate. In my day job, I also work for a Black business, and we go above and beyond. And for the product and service we provide, I've worked at majority bulge bracket firms, and we do an impeccable job in comparison to them. So I believe that we try a little harder because we have
Yes, exactly.
and
Because we
we
have
and we care a lot. There's a lot of
yes.
personal investment in what we do. So that comes through with what you're talking about. One of the things that I'm curious because they say if the majority community catches a cold, we catch a flu, right? So when it comes to your population of customers, what specific economic indicators do you watch most closely that might affect your customer base differently than maybe majority customers?
Yeah, I definitely watch our savings customers, our savings accounts, and whether or not those accounts are growing, which they did very well, during the pandemic when we were getting, the stimulus checks, versus when they've been declining, which is what's been happening again because of inflation and just the cost of living. What I also look at is home ownership. We are a big proponent of buying a home. I always say even if you have to buy a hut, we have a tendency to want to buy our dream home as our first home. And I'm like, no, just get in there. Even if you buy a studio or buy something, but just get in there because it gives you a foundation to build on. And the majority of wealth of Americans is through home ownership. So I do look at home ownership, and then I also look at credit. As I mentioned, we get a lot of applications for whether it's home loans or other loan programs, and I do monitor the overall credit, not of any one individual, just to get an indication of how we're doing. And so what I would say right now is that, we definitely need some work on our financial picture. We do need to focus on our credit. We do need to, spend less, save more. We need to earn more. And that's the other thing is, to focus on our income, and alternative sources of income. And we also need to focus more on homeownership.
Well, that's a great segue to our break because after the break, I want to talk a little bit about real estate prospects and the opportunity for home ownership in South Florida for our population. But let's pay the bills first. We'll be right back.
The City of Miami Gardens presents JITG Music Fest. New edition. Toni Braxton. DJ Cassidy's Pass the Mic Live. Starring Ja Rule, Fat Joe, and Remy Ma. Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. Beanie Man. Escape. Coco Jones. Kim. Also, a special set featuring Miss Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, YG Marley, Busta Rhymes, Doechii, and many more. JITG Music Fest. March 8th and 9th at Hard Rock Stadium. Tickets at jazzinthegardens.com.
Miami-Dade is filled with dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
Great seeing you all. We need to do this more often.
Will you be paying separately or together?
Oh, you can put it together.
No, give me a second.
Hold up, I got this. I'll get the reward points.
Well, I have early pay, so this time it's on me.
My AI insights say that I have room in my budget, so I'll pay.
Well, I got all that and more with the One Love card from One United Bank.
Wait, the One Love card?
Yes, with the One Love Visa debit card, I got a full suite of digital services from the nation's largest Black-owned bank.
Well, how do I get one?
It's easy. Just go to oneunited.com.
Okay. Kristen's got the One Love card and the check.
When it comes to banking, One United Bank is where I want to be.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family. Our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Thank you for staying with us. We're with Teri Williams, President and COO of One United Bank. And before the break, we were talking a little bit about the importance of home ownership as a wealth generating or building aspect of your portfolio. And right now, real estate's gotten dicey. We've seen so much inflation post-COVID, right? We have seen insurers leave the state. We've seen in the condo market the dynamics with the requirements to have increased reserves, which seems to make sense because you want your building to be sound. And so how is that affecting Black borrowers or aspiring homeowners in South Florida?
Yeah, it's definitely affecting us and really all homeowners as well as, people that are looking to buy their first home. Miami-Dade, Broward, South Florida has become less, affordable. But there's still affordable options. And, what I say to everyone is don't rule out the opportunity for home ownership. There are still homes available that I'm surprised. Like someone, was showing me some listings of, condos that were less than $200,000 in Miami-Dade County. I was surprised, less than 200. They're studios, but they're in nice buildings. They're nicely, they're nice studios. They're not, dumps. I mean,
right.
And so, as a first-time home buyer, I was like, that's going to be less. A mortgage on that is going to be less than your rent. So I've also seen one of the things that I'd like to guard against is that we're fleeing our community. And what I mean by that is, some of our parents or our parents' parents, passing away, and as opposed to refinancing or, buying their home or, the kids or the grandkids are selling their home. And I know that our community, and I mean, when I say our community, I'm talking Overtown, Liberty City, I mean, Little Haiti, I'm talking about all the, West, I mean, everywhere where we are, Opelika, Miami Gardens, every place we are.
Alapata.
Alapata is going to increase in value.
Mhm.
And so, and we have for so long tried to move, to quote better pastures, that we really need to reverse that thinking and say, no, we need to stay. We need to
Mhm.
stay in our communities because they're fabulous communities, and there are opportunities for us to build. And I hate to say this, but they're coming. When you look at, we saw the transformation of Wynwood. We saw the transformation of communities that are now super expensive. So really try to talk our community into, staying, and maybe figuring out ways to even if you have to, as I always say, buy a hut, buy something in our community.
Right. Well, I can relate to that too because I'm a native Washingtonian, Washington D.C., and the gentrification there has transformed the complexion of the city in so many ways. Um, and it's a shame to see people not learn how to hold on to their mom and them's house.
Yeah,
It's a
yes,
real shame. So I hope
yeah,
that we can reverse that trend here in Miami. I hate to see our history erased in that way.
yeah.
We're coming to the end of our time together. So if there's anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about with respect to One United Bank or anything else that's current that you think our audience should be thinking about, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So again, I can't emphasize enough, save, save, save. Try to figure out ways that you can save more, that you can earn more and save more, and spend less, especially during these uncertain times. I would also continue to say, even if you have to buy a hut, look at home ownership. You can go to our website, oneunited.com/home loans, and find out about our home loan programs. We also have first time home buyer programs that we partner with. So, go to waynight.com/first home, and check that out. And I would also say that it's important that you bank with a bank, and I haven't gone into this, but there are a lot of fintechs out there. And I do have some concerns about, our community using a lot of fintechs that don't have the FDIC insurance or are not regulated so that they can. Um, there are a lot of scams out there. So
Mhm.
make sure that you are banking with an FDIC insured bank. Your money will be safe, and hopefully you can bank with One United. Come see us. Mhm.
Well, I certainly have, and I'm a very
Yes.
happy customer.
Yeah,
So thank
welcome
you
to the
so
business.
much, Terry, for joining
Yeah,
us tonight.
yeah.
And to our audience, thank you for being with us and spending your time with us. Let's continue to work together to close that gap.